You've probably met someone like this. They walk into a room and within seconds, they just know something is off. They sense tension before a single word is spoken. They notice the things nobody else catches. And somehow, under pressure, they're the calmest person there. Maybe that person is you. Here's what's fascinating. That kind of awareness didn't come from a course or a book. For many people, it came from something far more personal, something they never asked for. If any of this feels oddly familiar, stay with me, because what you're about to hear might completely change how you see yourself. What traumatic intelligence actually is. Psychologists have begun using a term that most people have never heard: traumatic intelligence. It comes out of decades of research into adverse childhood experiences, and the premise behind it is both surprising and deeply human. Trauma doesn't only leave scars. In many cases, it also builds something. Research in developmental psychology shows that people who grew up in unpredictable or emotionally intense environments often develop a heightened ability to read people, sense emotional shifts, and think several steps ahead. Their brains, specifically the regions responsible for threat detection and decision-making, were quietly trained from an early age to pick up on signals that most people simply walk past. The result is a kind of intelligence that doesn't show up on any test. It runs beneath the surface, and most people who have it don't even realize it has a name. But what does this actually look like in real life? The first sign might be something you've done your entire life without ever questioning it. You read people without trying. The first thing most people with traumatic intelligence share is this: they read a room before anyone opens their mouth. You walk in somewhere, and something quietly shifts inside you. A tightness in someone's posture, a smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes, a pause that lasted just a fraction too long. These aren't things you consciously look for. Your brain does it automatically. This is pattern recognition, not magic. At some point early in life, scanning your environment for emotional data wasn't just a habit, it was how you stayed safe. So your brain got very, very good at it. And it didn't stop there. Because alongside that awareness of the room, something else developed, an almost uncomfortable sensitivity to the people in it. You feel what others haven't said yet. The second shift happens in one-on-one moments. Someone tells you they're fine, but you already know they're not. You sensed the change in their energy before they had words for it themselves. Psychologists call this hyperempathy, and it's common in people who grew up closely tracking the emotional states of those around them. When you had to anticipate someone else's mood just to navigate your day, you became extraordinarily attuned to the unspoken. Now here's where it gets interesting. That same wiring that made you so perceptive also shaped the way you handle chaos. And the third quality might be the one that surprises people around you the most. Pressure brings out a different version of you. Perhaps the most overlooked quality is this: when things fall apart, you go calm. While others freeze or panic, something in you becomes focused and strategic. Researchers describe this as stress inoculation. People who faced adversity early on often develop a nervous system that handles high-pressure moments more steadily, not because they're fearless, because high stakes were once their everyday reality. But there's a cost to carrying this kind of internal architecture that most people never talk about. Because the same system that makes you sharp under pressure also makes one very ordinary thing surprisingly difficult. Most people assume rest is simple. You stop, you recover, you reset. But for people with traumatic intelligence, the mind doesn't follow that script. It stays running. Not because something is wrong with you, but because your brain learned that the quiet before the storm is still part of the storm. Here's the part that rarely gets said. That constant low-level alertness is the same engine behind your sharpest insights. The same mind that won't fully switch off at night is the one that notices what everyone else misses during the day. It's not a flaw living alongside your strengths. It's the same thing running at full capacity. The real work isn't silencing it, it's learning to direct it so it works for you instead of just working all the time. And when you start doing that, it points towards something almost every person with this kind of history eventually arrives at. what you do with it now. Some people have been waiting a long time to understand why they are the way they are, why they sense things others don't, why they carry so much, why, even after everything, they still care so deeply about getting it right. The way you read people, the empathy you carry, the calm you find in chaos, these aren't random traits. They're the result of a mind that had to grow fast and did. The question was never how you got here. The question is what you choose to build with everything you developed along the way. So here's what I want to ask you. Which of these signs felt the most personal? The one that made you stop and think, that's me. Drop it in the comments, not just because I'm curious, but because sometimes just naming it out loud is its own kind of release. And if this video gave you a new way to see yourself or someone you care about, share it with them.